Good evening, everyone. We have nothing to report from closed session. We did not have a closed session, and our superintendent, Chris Vanden Heuvel, will not be joining us this evening. He has a family situation, and so he will not be with us this evening, understandably. And we're going to start off with adjustments to the agenda. Are there any adjustments? All right. Oh, is Kevin here? Oh, you're going to do it. Okay. Erin, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And we're going to move on to item 5, oath of office to the newly elected trustees. Want to congratulate Judy Velasquez and Donna Del Rey as being elected as our new trustees. Yeah, you guys usually do down here. And want to thank you, Rose, for running for re-election and getting elected. We're so happy to have you continuing on the board.
Hello. On behalf of the district, I'd like to thank President Romo Flores and Trustee Lopez Pardo for their years of service. And I'd like to open the floor up to any trustees who would like to say something. No pressure, but this is your chance.
Mike did ask me to read something on his behalf, but I don't know if you guys can hear him or if he would.
And Mike Potmacel is joining us via Zoom, so he is present.
Mike, would you like to read your statement, or would you like would you like Trustee Lopez Jimenez to read it?
Okay. All right. Well, I will pull up. All right. I'm gonna read Crystal's first, but can you tell him to give me access to Araceli's? All right. So this one is from Mike. So it says, "Dear Trustee Lopez Pardo, when you first came to sit on the Board of Education, you sat quietly until you didn't. It would be easy to say that over time you've grown into this position, that you've matured, taken on more responsibilities. But I say no. No, because you came into this board strong. You came into this board mature. You came to this board ready and have your voice ring the bell of truth. Yes, you appeared a bit reserved. Let's be clear. Your vision, your knowledge, and your deep understanding of youth or community and our school gives the school board of trustees, the administration, the school district, an insight that aids us all in fulfilling our responsibilities to know our students and to always be fair and equitable. Crystal, you have given me an intense, immense education, going deep, capturing the true essence of our kids. Your personal self expands beyond that of this board and is serving our Latin American community through Corazon and have aided many lives. In expanding your own education, it is inspiring, setting a positive model to those around you and to all of our students in Healdsburg. For our students, for our community, for myself, I praise you. I thank you very much."
I also would like to say, so Crystal was a former student of mine, and just, oh my gosh, so proud when she joined the board, and just so proud of your growth and your deep thought and just being so incredibly considerate of the community that we serve, and always shining the light on our most marginalized community and making sure that they were not forgotten and that they were that we advocated for them. And I just so appreciate your voice because you've always been so incredibly reflective and just so thoughtful and caring in everything that you've done. And, as a result of your advocacy, our kids are getting Spanish now, and all kids are getting Spanish, not just some kids. And I mean, that's just one of the examples of the things that you've changed for our district for the better. So I just want to thank you for your advocacy, for your leadership. I'm just so proud of you. Thank you.
Should we just continue down the line? It's been such a wonderful pleasure to work with you for the last 4 years. You and I came on the board at the same time. And I mean, I agree with everything that's already been said. But I think there's one thing that I just want to highlight that really has just been so special to me about working with you is that you have an incredible critical thinking mind about complex subjects. And to watch you sort of work a problem with as much care and love and thoughtfulness as you always do, but also to have just a true instinct for what the right thing to do is and to pursue that in a way that quite often was like not so many words, but strong message. And I've already said this to you like 20 times, but I hope that I get to vote for you for something else someday because I think you are a real leader and a person who leads with great conscience and integrity. And in this world there's not that many people like that. And I know that from working so closely with you on really tricky problems. So thank you so much for just being such a terrific colleague. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do next.
Okay, I will go, and I'll try not to cry. Just kidding. No, never mind. Kidding, I'm kidding. No. These last 2 years on the school board with you have been one of the best 2 years I have experienced on a board. And I am so thankful to have someone like you that I could rely on when I didn't know what any of these acronyms meant. And how I can just text you at whatever time and be like, hey, I have a question or concern about this. Can you help me? And you always were willing to, help me out on that sense, but also, on a personal and friendship level, I'm so appreciative of you always and forever. And right now my brain's everywhere, so I can't fully come and fully express how I feel about this. But I just want to say that I'm so proud of you, and you have been such a great impact to the Healdsburg community, and I hope to follow in your footsteps. I want to be like you when I grow up. And then Mike said that he has something for Araceli, and he wants to know if he can be heard, because I can't open it. Okay, I can't open it on my end.
Yeah.
All right, Trustee Potmaso, we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me clearly?
Yes. Yes.
All right, can you see me?
No.
That's probably good. It's probably good. So, Araceli Roma Flores, let us be clear. From the beginning, you, President Roma Flores, it was you who identified, quietly called out, and would not allow the segregation of our students in Healdsburg Unified School District. An environment of separation, perhaps unintentional, set up by past administration and supported by past boards of trustees. Your quiet, sincere, strong leadership, together with Superintendent Vanden Heuvel's concerted action, achieved full integration for our brown and our white students. There are good educators and there are great educators. There are good trustees and there are outstanding trustees. There are sincere leaders and there are warm, caring, insightful leaders. With you, President Roma Flores, Healdsburg Unified hit the trifecta. You have raised the expectations of our employees, our teachers, our support staff, and our administrators. You, Madam President, have nudged, cajoled, and at times pushed this Board of Education to step up, to put students always first. First intellectually, first emotionally, first socially, and first in setting their sights high, their vision of their future to be bright and rewarding. Your stepping away from this board could be fraught with worry, certainly sadness, and yes, even a vacuum. But I believe truly, your strength does not depart us. Your truth does not leave us forbearing. Your path, the path forward for our students that you have forged, cannot be covered or ignored. And though your physical self may be unaccounted for when this board gathers, you and all that you have done for our district shall not be erased and cannot be ever put aside. That direction, our direction, is simple. Kids first. No matter age or grade, ethnicity or color of their skin, economic status or home address, family or respective social position, you leave us, this school district, this community, with love, support, communication, trust, and shared values. Araceli, at these future meetings, I will miss your face, and I will revel in knowing that I've had 6 years of yourself, and that I can cast about and see you throughout Healdsburg Unified Schools. Araceli Roma Flores, I honor you, and I thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Or Mike.
Sorry. I know that I haven't known you guys for very long. You a little more. But Trustee Pardo and Trustee Flores, I've gotten to step into this role with a lot of ease due to the friendliness and overall class both of you guys conduct yourselves with. And so for that, I say thank you. So, yeah.
Okay. I can go. Mike said everything so well, and I just want to say how much I appreciate being your colleague these years, and how much I've learned from you that I'll keep in my heart and my mind for the rest of my life. You know, it's like we sit here on the dais and we get to have, you know, this much to say about what happens each at the district. But how important that much is something that is just really variable depending on how motivated you are, how much you know, how I don't know, just how much vision you have. And I just feel like I learned that watching you work. And I am going to just keep going forward with it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for all your expertise in our meetings. And, you know, I just echo all the things that Mike said. It's been great. And I hope we'll hang out in the future.
Obviously, I second everything that was said. I think Mike was very prepared. I did not prepare anything for this meeting. But I do want to share that I am very thankful I came on to the board when I did, and just the ability to go to you and ask questions, and the fact that you were my principal and you had students in the district and my brother was attending the district at the same time, we were able to ensure that students were receiving, especially during COVID, services and the education that every student deserves, and the highest quality of education. And I thank you for your advocacy all 4 years. And prior to that, I think that my experience in Healdsburg as a student first coming into Fox Creek School, when that was a school, and the sense of safety and the welcoming space that you created for students at Fox Creek School, which was a predominantly Latino school at that time, and your focus on equity, making sure that every student has all of the tools and to be successful are multilingual learners, and making sure that they have received all of the tools, that has shifted our district's focus and has set up the district's mission and vision for years to come. And that's the impact that you have created during your time, but that we will see beyond your time on the board. And I'm very thankful, and I admire you, and I look up to you, and I'm sad. I think I agree. Healdsburg is losing the most incredible human being on the board, who cares so much about the students and cares so much about education, is so knowledgeable about everything. And we will miss you, Araceli. I'm more sad that you are leaving than the fact that I am leaving, because I know what our students had. And yeah, thank you for your service during these past 6 years.
Okay. All right, last one, and then I promise I won't cry this time for real. I also want to second everything that everybody said, and Mike, I think he really summed it up. Like I kind of mentioned to Crystal, I felt so honored that I got to sit on this board with both of you. You guys both helped me learn a lot of the things that I didn't know coming into this. I aspire to be like you as well, because you taught me so much about advocacy and just for our advocating for our youth. And I really hope that the board moving forward is able to use what you had already kind of put into place and I help put into place, and that we continue to grow and that we build a beautiful school district based off everything that you've kind of done and the work that you've put in. And I agree with Crystal that I do feel for the students because I also feel like they are losing a really great part. And I don't want to cry, but okay. That's
Thank you, everyone. I do want to say that I am so grateful to have served for the last 8 years. I'm really proud of the changes that we've made in the district. I feel very strongly that all kids deserve a wonderful education, and I'm so proud of the leadership we have now. I look at Nicole and I think about her high expectations, and that's what we need here. We need high expectations for all of our students, and I'm just really proud of the changes that we've made, and I know that we will continue to make sure that all students are heard, all families are heard, and that all students get the education that they deserve, because it is a game changer. I would not be here today if I did not have this education. I look at Mr. Velasquez out there who got me into college because nobody in my family went to college. And so education is a game changer for students. And so our work is critical, and we have to make sure that all students have opportunities and that we remove all barriers because they deserve it. And so thank you. That's all.
Yeah, I obviously second everything. I came on the board during a very tough time, I think, in our whole country. And I decided to run for school board because of the conversations that were happening in community about the inequities and the microaggressions and the racism that existed in Healdsburg, which as students we also were very aware of. And that is the primary reason why I chose to run for school board. I recognize that there has been improvements in our school districts and students are feeling a sense of safety in our school district. There's still a lot of work to do in our district to make sure that every student is achieving higher education or the ability to choose higher education. And I am extremely proud of the board and every decision that was made, whether I agreed with all of the decisions or not, and whether the rest of the board, we always treated ourselves with respect. We treated other individuals with respect and humility. And I hope that it continues, and I hope that we continue to see and think about every student in our district. And the demographics of our board are changing, and we have to highlight that. It's not representing our students, and I hope that although it is not representing our students, we keep every student in mind when we're making decisions, and we think about who it is affecting, who is benefiting, and who is not, because that is extremely important in making decisions. But I'm very proud of the time that I was present at HUSD. I feel, and I mentioned this to the board, in the last year I was less present in community events, in our educational events. I also decided to pursue higher education, and so that is one of the main and primary reasons why I chose not to run again. I'm focused right now in pursuing my higher education, and that is why I'm stepping away from this. And so I hope that I continue to participate and I continue to attend board meetings and school events, because my job also is in community, and so hopefully we can continue this partnership with HUSD beyond just my time here. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And with that,
We are done.
New president. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Congratulations to our new board.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on to action item number 7. Okay, elect board president as per board bylaws.
Per board bylaws, the vice president of the board will now be offered the position of president of the board. And I would be happy to swear you in.
Okay.
It does, I think, have to be moved and seconded, though.
I move that we elect Lupe the president as
Second.
And then because trustee Potmasil is participating remotely, it must be a roll call vote. So, trustee Lopez Jimenez. Aye. Trustee Del Rey.
Aye.
Trustee McAllister.
Aye.
Trustee Velasquez. Trustee Potmasil.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to 7.B, elect the board vice president / clerk per board bylaws.
So I'd like to put forth myself as vice president of the board based on the board bylaws that indicate a longevity on the board, I guess longevity, as I'll be entering my 17th year as a trustee.
All right. And Laura, is that a roll call vote or a?
It will
Okay.
be a roll call vote
All right.
once someone motions, though.
Do I have a motion to elect trustee Velasquez as vice president / clerk?
Velasquez, yeah.
Velasquez, yes.
So
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in the roll call.
Did anyone have any other comments or any issue or questions? I'm looking at trustee McAllister. She looks like she wants to speak.
Does anyone else have any questions before we vote? Because if no one else has questions, then I don't have questions either.
Trustee
Well,
Potmasil is raising his hand.
Yeah, I would put myself, just that was the order that we had set up. And I understand seniority, but if seniority were the case, and I understand what trustee Velasquez says, that she would always be nominated for VP. So in this case, I think in the past, we've always kind of gone down the order. And so therefore, I would be next in order, and I would put myself forth for the VP position.
So are we allowed to discuss this when we have a motion on the table, like when there's a vote on the table?
Yes, you are.
Debbie's shaking her head
Yes or no?
because the motion was already made. No?
Well, once a motion is made, you can discuss the motion.
Right. Oh, just not voted because we had a first and a second. Anyone know? Okay, well, if I'm allowed to say a word, I just want to say that I don't actually have a strong opinion about who should be vice president next. I do have a strong opinion that we have always sort of like proceeded with an orderly kind of taking turns of these offices year by year based on length of kind of like, just based on kind of whose turn was up, it sort of seems like. And I don't, I feel like that's collegial and that's positive to do that. And so I know that our board policies dictate that it's seniority. And I know that they're also a little bit vague. And so I just would say that once we've voted, that it might be something to think about in the future to just look at how to codify, you know, what has been done in the 4 years that I've been on the board, which has just been kind of like, okay, who is ready to do it? Who can do it this year based on family circumstances, you know, the length of your term, all of these things, you know, that all play into the ability to dedicate yourself to the presidential year, which requires quite a bit more time and attention than other years of serving on the board, and to a lesser degree, the vice presidential year as well. So I don't, I'm happy with both of my colleagues serving in this position. However, I do want to have a program by which we write down just the idea of a collegial sort of like motion through the offices. I think it's a really, really positive thing for the board to have different people in different leadership positions over a 4-year period. And so I'd just like to see that stay in place.
I was just wondering, can we reject the motion and then reintroduce the motion after discussion?
Yes, you can. You can do that. Yes, you can. You can withdraw your motion.
We have to vote on the motion. We can approve it or not approve it and start over, but we have to vote on the motion that's in front of us.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote for now. So President Lopez Jimenez.
Nay.
Okay. Trustee Del Rey.
Nay.
Trustee McAllister. Student Trustee Johansson Hufrey. Trustee Velasquez.
Yes.
Trustee Potmissel.
I'll abstain.
Okay.
All right, so then we reintroduce again. Okay. All right. So,
Okay.
all right. Thank you. So now having a discussion on the board vice president / clerk as per board bylaws. And it sounds like we have both Trustee Velasquez and Trustee Pomitel who would like to be the vice president. And I do want to second with Rose that I thought that was the order that was supposed to go as well, where Mike would be quote unquote vice president next, but okay.
May I say something? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
And again, Judy, this is not, I guess in a way it is, but it's not against you. If in fact we interpret the bylaws as saying the person with the most seniority is next in line to VP, you could be VP next year, president the next year, and then automatically VP the next year, which makes no sense. That's not, in my experience, in not just this board, other boards, the intent is to kind of go through the experience, and as two, quote, oncoming board members, together with Trustee McAllister, you would all be in line the following year to who would be VP.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So
And again, if seniority is an issue, Trustee Velasquez would always be in line. Again, not about you, but the most senior would always be in line. So that I do not believe is the intent of the policy.
The bylaws do talk about rotation and about
Yes,
it addresses this and allowing different people to take the role. So I disagree with your interpretation that it would just always be Judy as the senior person.
Well, good.
I think
we're on the same page.
the seniority is really related to like when there's a changeover on the board and like how you start to get a new order put in place. So I
Right.
agree. I think it's totally up for interpretation. But
So,
that's it.
these particular bylaws were put in place actually 16 years ago. And it has followed a rotation through the board. And so I actually disagree with Mike too about his interpretation of that. It's worked effectively for 16 years. And actually the bylaws say that you can excuse yourself from taking on this role once.
Mhm.
But it's pretty clear. So if we're not going to be following this, the protocols the bylaws that we've set out, then I would like to request that we clear this up at the next, so I'd like Lupe to put it on the agenda for January. Because I think that it's important when boards have adopted bylaws that they be followed. And and I understand that there's a unique situation in that you have two trustees who have come back onto the board. So that makes it a unique situation. But I think it needs to be cleared up because I think that if we, and the bylaws really have not changed in 16 years very much. I really think that if we have bylaws that we need to be following them. So.
Well, yeah.
But again, Trustee Velasquez, I just have a question, and again, this is not personal, please believe that. If the seniority is always trumps, then again, the most senior person would always be in line for the VP position, as opposed to if somebody new comes on or comes on again after a hiatus, if you will, then in the way we've done it here, and again, I've seen other boards as well, but you have a series of, and you have Lupe, you have Mike, and then you have three board members two that are coming back after a hiatus, one who has been on the board, and two who are coming back. And so that the seniority would kind of disappear, for lack of a better word, once they stepped off. And, you know, what I'm hearing is, do you pick up where you left off? And I'm not sure that's correct. Again, one person, whoever was on the board for 10 years or 15 years would be the most senior. And that person would always step in place if that was the interpretation.
So, Laurel or Aaron or Debbie, is anyone able to sort of clarify like, is this something that we need to look into to try to clarify what is happening with the language that we have that's existing?
We can bring the policy to the January board meeting as.
And are we allowed to be vice presidentless for a month while we kind of sort this out? Or do we
I
need
don't
to have?
believe so.
Okay.
The organizational meeting has to take place between 2 dates in December.
Okay, so I have a couple of ideas. One of them is that, again, like my emphasis here is just on collegiality, and I'm just going to speak up a bit on Mike's behalf and say that Mike is coming up in 2 years of he has 2 years left of his consecutive term served. He was president once. This is basically his opportunity to be president again, if we were to say that everyone theoretically is sort of serving as president for each of their 4-year terms. So that's the way that I've imagined it. And I realize the math doesn't work out to be exactly everybody is president during every one of their terms. And that can be up to, as you say, there's this kind of clause to back out of it. But I also feel like there's sort of a matter of the content, which is like, clearly you both want to be vice president. What is it? Why? I guess is my question. Because if we have to vote tonight, then while I completely agree that we should be following our policies, in this situation where there is some room for argument about the language of this policy, because Mike has been consecutively serving for 6 years, which makes him the longest serving, most senior member who's does not have an interruption in service. And so, you kind of could argue it either way. And I guess, like I said, I respect both of you very much, and I'm happy to have either of you serve as vice president. I'm just interested in sort of like, is there a distinction that we should understand so we can make a vote?
I think that's valid. And so I guess bringing it up to Rose's question, not sure who would like to go first, whether it would be Mike or Judy, but I guess want to know your why, as to why you want to be vice president of the school board.
Oops. Do you want to go first, Mike?
Please go ahead.
Oh, well, I think that the reason that I'm excited about doing this is because of the experience I had down in Anaheim, where we went to a variety of really spectacular sessions on goal setting and strategic planning and evaluations, where I'm just very, very excited about that aspect of working as a trustee again. It's really important to me that that we work as a team, and that we are united for the benefit of our staff and for the benefit of our students. And I would be very honored to be a leader in that effort of strategic planning and goal setting. So that's why.
All right. Well, thank you, Judy. All right, Mike, go ahead.
Well, I think in my case, what I see is the continuation of the work we've done, certainly in the last 4 years, if not the last 6 years that I've been on the board, moving forward in the area of equity, moving forward in the area of, to use a phrase that I've used a couple of times this evening, kids first, of ensuring that every kid is placed in the forefront of our work, to make sure that our staff, our teachers, and our support staff have the skills that they need in order to do that work, and to raise the expectations that that work will be accomplished. I will agree that, in fact, it was said earlier, that we have principals that have set high goals for our teachers. And our job I believe, as the board is to support those high goals and to ensure that our staff, our teachers and our support staff have the skills to do that. I don't disagree with goal setting, but ultimately it's about performance. It's ultimately about getting the job done and doing it well. And that's been my whole career in education, is putting the kids first, making sure that they're learning at grade level or above. And as a vice president, what I would hope is that I could support the president in her work, and then once president, could again push the equity piece. I'll be real honest with you. When I was president is when we developed board policy 410, which is about equity, 415, which is about anti-racism. That really wasn't there before. And I really believe in our district, as well in any district, but in our district, that needs to be forefront. And I have heard things that in the past have been disturbing that have gone away. We have had issues with our Latin American population. We have had issues with our LGBTQ plus kids, et cetera, that we need to acknowledge and resolve so that all kids feel safe and can learn. That's all.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Debbie, Aaron, and or Laurel. What, in this case, after we just heard? Do we just choose based off our whys?
You need to nominate somebody.
Okay. I would like to nominate Mike to be our vice president. Judy, I feel like you could also bring all those things to the school board, like with the goal setting and everything that you mentioned, still. But I think I was also under the impression that Mike was going to be VP as well. And I would like to propose that Mike be vice president of the school board.
Second.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I'm very torn right now. I just wanted to say that out loud. I am. I know that both of you would be fantastic leaders. And I also just want to like crack a joke for a second and say that this is like a job that nobody ever wanted before. So it's very exciting that there's two people who want it, who are willing to pitch, who are willing to work hard, who are excited for the leadership. I think that bodes well for our future as a board, because it was more like a not me situation quite often, because it is a lot of responsibility in the presidential year. So I am like looking into my conscience, and I don't have an easy answer. I will say that in the spirit of the way that we have done things in the 4 years that I've been on the board, which is that we really have kind of moved apace considering the length of, considering the timing of people's service and so on. But I am probably inclined to abstain and let everyone else decide tonight.
It's going to be a toss-up.
I guess if I'm the deciding vote, then I'll.
Dive right in. Yeah, this is a first, right? In a good way, and I think it's in a good way. I will second Lupe's motion.
Okay, so we'll do the roll call vote. President Lopez Jimenez, Trustee Del Rey,
Aye.
Trustee McAllister, Student Trustee Johansson Hufrey, Trustee Velasquez, Trustee Potmissel.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. All right, now we have 7C, elect the secretary of the board.
That is the superintendent?
Yeah, by bylaw, that's going to be Chris.
I was like, all right. 7D, set time/place for regular meetings.
Oh, sorry, we do still have to pass that, though,
Okay.
if anyone wants to motion.
I will motion to have Chris.
I'll
be
second.
our
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Talk over you.
All right, President Lopez Jimenez.
Aye.
Trustee Del Rey, Trustee McAllister, Student Trustee Johansson Hufrey, Trustee Velasquez, Vice President Potmissel.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 7D, set time/place for regular board meetings, which we have as for the 2025 regular board meeting dates, and then 6 p.m. at City Hall.
Motion.
I'll second.
All right.
Okay. President Lopez Jimenez.
Aye.
Trustee Del Rey. Trustee McAllister.
Aye.
Student Trustee Johansson Hufrey. Trustee Velasquez. Vice President Potmissel.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. 7E, elect representative and alternate for the Sonoma County Committee on School District Organization. And yeah.
I sure will.
So Debbie will be projecting the committees that we have. And then we just get to decide.
And to be clear, this list is purely just suggestions. So if anyone would like, if you don't see your name and you'd like to be on a committee, please feel free. So right now we're looking at Sonoma County Committee on School District Organization.
Oh, thank you. A little background about this. It is a committee that rarely meets. In the time I've been in the district, I don't know that this has met. However, tides are changing, right? So, there is energy in the county. Santa Rosa City, there's a study that's been done. There are other opportunities, possibly for our own district. So it's currently not been something that has met a lot, but in the future, there's always a possibility that it may convene more frequently.
Okay.
But there's not a set schedule right now, right? It's not every third Tuesday, or there's nothing right now on the books for this. That's my point.
All right, so on there we have as suggested Donna and Judy.
Yeah, we actually have suggested.
Which
Policy
one are we
review,
doing?
sorry.
No, you were right.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Typically,
It's-
that's the board president.
President and vice president.
Yeah, so typically president and vice president. So it would be
Myself and Mike.
exactly.
Okay.
I'm lost. Where are we on that?
Oh, so do we have to vote on each one?
Yes.
Uh,
All right, so before we move
looking
on.
at the minutes, I don't think we do.
Well, E is a separate item.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. We have to vote on this one, and then all the other committees are one item.
Got it.
So for this one, we're looking at President Lopez Jimenez and Vice President Potmasil.
So I move that we have our president and vice president fill the role for the school district organization committee.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Is this a roll call vote?
It is. They all are.
Okay.
All right. President Lopez Jimenez.
Aye.
Trustee Del Rey.
Aye.
Trustee McAllister. Student Trustee Johansson Hufrey. Trustee Velasquez. Vice President Potmasil.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I make a motion to add my name to the Superintendent Policy Review Committee?
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's awesome that a student wants to be on policy review. It's a great way to learn a lot, which is fantastic. My only challenge is you're only here for the first part of the year, and this is an ongoing committee. So can I suggest, I don't know if this is breaking any policy, that our student trustee take the role while he can, and then I step in when he graduates. When he
I would
moves.
suggest adding him as an alternate, and then three can sit in.
That would be my suggestion as well.
Even better
Yeah.
solution.
Because we just recently met and we don't meet that often. It depends a little bit on how many policies there are to review. So, in the time before you graduate, it's likely to be either one meeting or none meetings. Is that
Probably one or two.
one or two maybe?
One or two.
Okay, we are catching up on all our board policies. But
So can I suggest that I'm the alternate? And then when the space opens up, I step in. Is that weird?
Personally, I think two trustees should be on the
Oh,
the committee,
And then,
I agree.
Which are
and then
myself.
add a third.
all right, excellent then.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Works great. Thank you.
Right?
All right.
Okay.
All right, now DLAC, suggested we have myself and Judy. I would like to stay on the DLAC.
That's fine.
And again, that's an open meeting, right? So anybody who wants to attend a DLAC meeting is more than welcome. It would be awesome to have lots and lots of people there, but having designated representatives is always nice, but it is an open meeting.
I do need to know what night they meet.
It's pretty infrequent. I think the next one's in February.
No, I need to know what night. I have a-
Thursdays.
Thursdays, okay. I have a commitment every Monday night.
All right.
May I ask a question? Does that DLAC, does that also include all of the ELACs, the elementary, junior high, and
Generally, board members don't sit on the school ELACs, again, because they're an open meeting. Anybody is encouraged to attend.
but we've always had a representative assigned to that.
Not on ELAC, not on
You haven't needed to
school.
go to ELAC. It's just DLAC.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're always welcome.
Yeah, it's an open meeting. Any trustee, anyone's welcome to attend, but there's only been designated trustee representation on DLAC.
Okay. I'm not sure that's the way it's been set up, but that's fine.
Okay. Healdsburg Chamber of Commerce suggested we have Trustee Del Rey, and then myself.
Fine, totally great.
Uh,
It's. Are you thinking?
I am thinking.
It's a really early meeting, which is
Oh,
Thursday
yeah.
morning.
I was going to say, it's an early meeting.
That might not work for me. Yep, that's not going to work for me. So I cannot do that one.
That might be something interesting for a student trustee.
Ooh.
But it's an early meeting. What do you miss
He's in
school?
school, but what about school?
That's right,
Except for
yeah,
that
school.
I'm in leadership, so I can't.
Yeah, yeah, at that zero
There's
period.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually see it as a good mechanism for the communications work we're doing.
So do we have
I
an
was-
alternate?
I can be the alternate if that's
Yeah.
okay.
If there's one, I just.
Because I know I'm supposed to like rotate off, which is why I have light duty this year because I had a lot of responsibilities before. But maybe if I'm just the alternate, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's probably fine.
Okay.
All right. Next, we have the HEF. Suggested are myself and Mike.
Again, isn't the history that it's the president and vice president generally?
Yes. Also another committee that doesn't
Yeah, it's
meet
not really
much
active.
at this time.
All right. Then myself and Mike for
Okay.
awesome. All right. 5. Superintendent Budget Resource Committee. On there we have Mike as a suggested.
This committee is as needed.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this committee meet in the 10 years I've been here.
Yeah.
So Mike.
Because we trust you, Debbie.
It did meet once about 8 years ago.
So Mike,
Yeah.
if that
The
interests
committee's
you,
ready to meet when they need.
As long as Debbie's CBO, we're good.
No, I wasn't always.
No, you weren't.
For curriculum council, I would very much like to be on one of these. I'm pretty flexible about which one.
So, Curriculum Council has really morphed into having these working committees, steering committees, which is working quite well. The AI and Technology Steering Committee meets quarterly. We've met twice so far. We'll meet two more times, likely February. They're Monday after school. The Arts Planning Committee, we meet monthly on Mondays after school. And the Curriculum Committee is in anticipation for the next school year. So that is not currently meeting, but we anticipate that that will begin in August, September of 25-26 school year.
Erin, what time are the arts meetings generally finished by?
By about 5:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the AI and technology.
Those also run from about 3:30 to 5:30. Yeah.
I'd really like to do math.
Great.
And actually, I have a lot of information for you, Erin,
Great.
about AI that is very, very exciting,
Excellent.
using it as a tool.
Yes.
It's really exciting.
Okay.
I know your arts.
I think I'm okay.
With arts?
Yeah, no, I'd love to do arts for sure. I was just thinking about the timing. I'm going to have a conflict sometimes, but if it's only one meeting a month, only one Monday a month, and that'll be fine.
Yeah, we keep pretty good notes and have a pretty organized folder.
It would
and
only
whatnot.
ever be a matter of me needing to leave sort of 10 minutes early. I would have to leave at 5, but I think I can swing it so that it's not, and there's no conflict.
And if our student trustee would like to join any of those, I would be most encouraging of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken 2 computer science classes at the high school, and they're pretty modern. I did fairly well in those tests.
I'm sure you know more than we do.
Yes.
Maybe. I also know as a student firsthand just how much AI has been influencing, cheating and all this kind of stuff. Like I've seen it. I know how people are using it. So I think that I could be a pretty good resource for.
Great, and it'd be great to have both of you, Judy and Julian.
Well, and I can jump in and be the kind of the.
Well,
Lead.
yeah. When the Santa Ana School District, which I've mentioned to you, Erin, they have found that using AI as a tool that the cheating has gone down. It's, but it is completely incorporated into their curriculum. And it's very, very exciting what they're doing. And they're way ahead of us. So we can, but they've invited us to, learn from them how
Great.
they're doing it.
Okay, so we've got 2 for AI and then Rose for arts and math.
If Rose can't make it, I could do the arts.
Great. So Mike is an alternate for the arts.
Could be the alternate.
All right, and then math curriculum was Judy, right?
Did Trustee Del Rey want to be on one of them?
I'm sorry, which one?
Do you have one that speaks to you? You'd mentioned you'd like to be on one.
The AI one. So where do we just land on the AI?
Well, can't we both be on the AI?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the student trustee?
Yes, the more the merrier.
Because I think
It's a big job.
I think that having a student there is
Critical.
pretty exciting.
Be awesome.
Great.
All right.
All right.
Moving on to 7, Sonoma County. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, my bad. No, the scholarship committee?
that was
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading. Okay. Healdsburg High School Scholarship Committee. I would like to be on that one.
and that is that rotating now? Because that is the coolest thing ever to be on that committee. And for a long time it didn't rotate. And I didn't even know it existed. And then I got on it and it was like, what has happened? So I do want to make sure every board member has an
Yeah.
opportunity to do that.
I
during
thought
their
it was the
tenure.
president's position that was put on that. The president? No.
I wasn't president when I was on it.
I don't think so, because I have never, it wasn't even on my radar. So,
It's fine.
It's a newish committee.
yeah.
It's like super cool.
They only
Yeah,
have-
I mean,
It
I'd
really
love to
is.
do it at some
It's
point.
like everyone needs to
Do
so
it.
make sure you grab
Do
it
it.
at some point.
How many scholarships?
And students cannot be on that.
No, I know.
Many.
No, I mean I could, and then
Yeah.
mauled myself. But, no.
So
Yeah, it only meets in scholarship season, so it'll be coming up and there'll be a couple of meetings and then that's it.
and they only are involved with certain ones that are monitored or structured by the district because there's a lot of scholarships that are
Right.
external.
And then do we work with, or would that trustee work with the College and Career Center and Miss Anderson?
Yeah,
Exactly.
works out of there.
It's a
Yeah, so-
committee. It's a large committee. It's not just the trustee and whatever. It's a
Right.
lot of community members, and
Okay.
And it's run by the bank.
that's true. Well, the
Yeah.
bank manager, yeah.
Bank,
Cool.
A big part of it, yeah.
Well, Lupe, if you need
They're running
a
that.
alternate for that, I'm happy to go, and
I
I'm
would
happy
love
to
that.
serve in the future, because I'm sort of like rotating off of most of my committees right now, and happy to pick that up.
It
if
would make
you
sense
need
for you to do it before your kids are.
Yeah.
Oh,
your
before
kids are
my
in high
kids
school.
could get
Yes,
scholarships?
that is very true.
Yeah.
Well, that's not till they're seniors, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got some
next
time, but
year,
just to
I'll
keep
pipe
it in
up.
mind. Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah.
All right. And then we have the HUSD Student Trustee Mentor. And as suggested, we have Donna.
Yeah, I kind of started this a few years ago, and so I'd love to step in, and
All right.
if that makes sense. And I would like to propose a 10th committee,
Nice.
a communications committee,
Oh.
because I mean I don't have experience for the last 2 years, but I can tell you the prior 10. Every year, agonizing over resources and needs around communicating all the amazing things our district is doing. And this, I have to say, since, the silver lining of COVID is that I've heard from parents that the communication to parents is amazing now. Almost a little too much sometimes, that's kind of the joke. But I feel like we are doing such great things and nobody knows. And so, there's a little ad hoc committee that's kind of formed, but I'd like to kind of make it more official with at least one school board member. And this would probably be like a community group and some parents and maybe some teachers and whatnot. And kind of give it some legs, I guess, is the way to put it.
I
So-
think that's really important because my experience out in the community is if you're not a parent, you don't know what's going on in your schools at all. And there's really exciting things happening. And there's another one that I think that we need to consider, and that is liaising. What is that word?
Liaison.
liaising with the city council about housing. I think it's really critical that we're talking with the city about not only housing for our students and their families, but for our staff.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
is there
maybe I think my suggestion, since those are new, is that those might be agendized
Yes.
for future.
next meeting?
Yeah.
I think that's wise, and I have very often been on the communications, like, call for,
Ad hoc.
well, I feel like it is super, super important, and I also think that whatever strategic planning we're going to be doing moving forward really has to be, it really has to
It's
be
a
like
huge part.
absolutely woven in with future communications and the willingness to expend resources for communication, to have that be really targeted, useful, good work. So yeah, I totally think let's agendize it and talk it over.
We'll agendize those two in the next meeting.
Yeah.
And
Great.
for communications, if you guys also want to branch out a little bit more, we could do some social media, and I would be willing
Students.
to do
Ah.
that as well.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Cool. All right. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve this current list of updated committee?
So moved.
Second.
President Lopez Jimenez.
Aye.
Trustee Del Rey.
Aye.
Trustee McAllister. Student Trustee Johansson Hufrey. Trustee Velasquez.
Aye.
Vice President Papasel.
Aye.
Thank you.
And can I ask that you send out a summary of when the meetings are for all the committees, so we're just got it all on our radars? Thank you.
The next step.
Gotcha. There you are then.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. 7G, right?
G, yeah.
Yeah, update Board of Trustee priority list. Right there. All right, so it sounds like, or it looks like our priorities are that all trustees attend graduation ceremonies, ends in like high school, which is the first Friday in June. For many trustees is for the graduation/promotion of the junior high and then Marcy Becerra. And then at least 2 trustees to come to the award ceremonies like Scholarship Night in April, a Rotary event, Educator of the Year, and the HJH Awards Night. And then possible attendance, we have Back to School Nights, which are in September, Open House in May, new employee orientation in August, sporting events all year, district kickoff in August, 5th grade promotion in June, and internship. And that sounds or looks like, oh my gosh, I just realized I might need glasses. Lunch? Oh,
It's the internship lunch and internship presentations.
that's a lot better. All right, and then student productions, so to be determined, which would be band concerts and drama/theater performance, and then 9, which would be school and community events, and then homecoming in October, rebit dance, ELAC meetings, high school car show, HAS FMC holiday programs, HJH and HJH holiday band concert, and then the outside of school events like boosters, service org, city meetings, election forums, and HEF meetings. So do we have an update, or is this a good priority list?
Yeah, I would just like to say that the internship presentations in March, I think that it would be really great if we could have at least 2 trustees for that actual meeting. Not as much the lunch, but the presentations. I think there were a lot of great internships. I mean, mine was in USF in their, asylum-seeking clinic. And I think that would be really cool for the students to be able to share that to the board, so you guys have more of an idea of what we're doing. Because we do typically do like a final presentation to the board, or that's what we did last year. But I think it would be kind of cool to have you guys see more of that.
It's so awesome. And I
It
think
is.
generally we have at least 2 board members that are there. The thing is that we're just like in one room for 5 presentations. So it's not a big public event where we're all sitting together. But in a way, that's what's so awesome about it, is that you just get to hear a little, an example of the kind of internships that students are doing. It is awesome. And I've done it for the last 4 years in a row. I think it's the best. One of my favorite nights. So yeah, thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to approve this?
I just wanted to add, we don't have anything in here about art happenings, like art events, and I feel like we had some, are they there? And I'm just not seeing them. Well, we have drama and band, but Mr. Lancaster's had like events that he's invited us to, and I think that's probably good. And I don't know if we want to add something too about site visits, just rotating site visits.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's one of my commitments for my second term, is to go just on more site visits and visit more classrooms. I feel like, as my kids get older, I'm not in the classrooms, especially in the younger grades anymore. And it's so useful to meet the student, just to see the students and teachers and staff in action. So I don't know if we need to codify that, but I would like to see it on there.
I agree. I think that's a super high priority. I'm not sure how it's a different format. It would be more like maybe we all have to attend at least 2 of those a year kind of thing, right? Or 1 a quarter or whatever. It's a little different than the number of trustees at an event.
I will say there was one really important one that. Okay. There was one really important installation that happened this year. Lancaster.
Yes.
He had the tiny desks that represent the students' lives lost, and I was wondering how many trustees were attending that one. If
Did not know about it until after.
No, didn't know about it until after.
okay, there was no announcement.
It was.
Oh.
That is a thought I had.
It was a
We'll
one-day-
need to
It was
streamline some
spontaneous.
communication to make
Right.
the arts thing happen, I think. But yes.
So you guys have some good ideas. This priority list does not have to be voted on tonight. There's some ideas that have been generated tonight in the absence of the superintendent. In addition, I think it might be you table this item and make some additions to it and bring it back at the next meeting.
Great. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
So Laura, will you make note? Because I'll forget. I mean,
Yes,
I like
it will be in the minutes.
Okay, excellent. Well, okay. Possible things, art and school visits, I think, are great ideas.
All right, moving on to item 8, public comments on non-agenda items. The public may address the board on any consent action items or items not listed on the agenda pursuant to the Brown Act. During this period, the board cannot consider issues or take action on any items not listed on the agenda. Time is limited and 3 minutes per person. I don't see any.
I have received none.
Okay, all right, moving on to approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move.
All right.
President Lopez Jimenez,
Aye.
Trustee Del Rey.
Oh,
I'm going to abstain because I wasn't at the last board meeting and the minutes are in here and I can't agree to those, so continue.
All right, Trustee McAllister. Student Trustee Johansson Hufrey. Trustee Velasquez.
I have a question
Okay.
about an item on the consent agenda.
Okay. Is that-
I'm not sure how, you want me to vote first and then I can ask my question?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, aye.
Vice President Potmissel.
aye.
Okay, my question has to do with the leave of absence from Ever Flores on CTA. And I'm wondering what the scope of that leave of absence is.
It's 1 day.
Oh,
It's 1 day.
that was not clear.
I believe so. I can double check the backup, but I believe it was 1 day for this particular request.
I would assume
can
it was
double check.
discussed at the last meeting that you and I didn't attend, and so that's why I was abstaining from.
It was not discussed at the
Oh,
last
never
meeting.
mind.
No.
these requests periodically come in and they go on consent because they typically, I believe, this is unfortunately an item probably we would have wanted Karen for because she could explain it better, but I
should
believe
be in the
it's
back.
part of their duties. Well, I'm sorry,
It
Deputy?
should say in the backup on the cover sheet.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
For CTA, we get reimbursed
Yes.
for substitute, which I'm not sure how that works, because we don't buy a sub to replace him, but supposedly there's some compensation from CTA.
All right, Laurel's pulling it.
I always question if we get compensated.
To be released on January 28th, 2025.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Item 9. Oh, no, we just did that. So consent agenda, is that a roll call vote? Yes. Okay, we did it. 9.1, business services update. No updates, no, but I would like to thank everybody who donated, and your donations are greatly appreciated. All right. And then action item 10, 10.1, student learning. We have 10.1A, articulation agreement with Sonoma State University, brought to us by Aaron.
Yeah, so this is really, really exciting. We're one of a very small handful of districts that's been able to work closely with Sonoma State, and we have Dr. Stacy Bosick here with us tonight from Sonoma State representing. I'm going to bring her up here in just a minute, so a little bit of background. Most of you are familiar with the idea of early college credit. Traditionally, that has been earned in students signing up for Santa Rosa Junior College courses somewhat independently. So, they want to take a class that either we don't offer or we offer and doesn't fit in their schedule. Increasingly, we have articulation agreements for dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment where our instructors are teaching an SRJC course on our campus, and then the students take an exam at the end of the course that's furnished to us by SRJC. Our students take the exam, we send the exam in a closed envelope back to SRJC, they score it, and then they tell us how the student did and what grade they get. This is a kind of a new and very, very exciting partnership. Like I said, very small number of high schools that have been able to do this. I want to thank these two folks. Like I said, Dr. Stacy Bosick is here, Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs and the Dean of Undergraduate and Graduate Studies, for reaching out to us as our local CSU and making this happen over the past year in conversation, and her partner, Dr. Ed Mills, who couldn't be here tonight, the Vice President for Strategic Enrollment. Wonderful opportunity for our students. So we are talking about early college credit through SRJC. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how this is going to work with SSU and get into some of the nuts and bolts. But that our local CSU is offering this opportunity for our students. There are so many benefits. I had a hard time even shortening it to this, but I think these 5 things kind of encapsulate how exciting this is. There is really strong research that shows that when students earn any kind of any kind of college credit while they're still in high school, that they see themselves as college students, they go to college, and they persist in college is greatly increased. They see themselves as a college material and confidence. We also, as was announced in prior meeting, we have a new position where we have an early college credit counselor, coordinator on our high school campus that's working 10 to 15 hours with our MBA and our HHS students. She is also part-time faculty and a part-time counselor at SRJC. So she's with us for a part of the time and with SRJC for part of the time. And Julian, I don't know if you've had a chance to meet her yet. Not, yeah. So she's housed in the College and Career Center along with Dave Hubble and Shelley, and she just got started last month. So she will be doing outreach to help us with this. It helps shorten the time to degree. Students will earn Sonoma State credit through these courses, and I'll talk about which courses. So they can graduate early. And what we're finding is that this used to be the promise for an AP class. It used to be a promise that if you got a 4 or 5 on an AP exam, that you would get that credit when you showed up to your 4-year institution. increasingly, we're finding that to be less and less, particularly in science and math subjects. Many colleges, particularly the more selective schools, give our students a pat on the back and say, great, I'm so happy you got a 5 on AP Calculus or AP Physics, and now you're going to take our course and we're not going to give you any units. So the savings and the unit accumulation that the AP environment used to provide our students is less and less so. So this kind of a partnership with our local CSU is exciting because they will have a CSU transcript that can be transferable. Hopefully they might, go to SSU. But if they choose to take that coursework somewhere else, that is a transfer. It's they've got a college transcript. So this academic preparation, equity in education, is a really important thing that we address some of these systemic barriers for students getting into four-year schools and navigating and understanding how to get there. So Sonoma State will send representatives to enroll our students in these courses. So they start developing a relationship with the enrollment process, and the people of Sonoma State will be on our campuses, or not campuses, but campus to help us out, and the reduced financial burden. Because this is happening during the school day and with our faculty on the high school campus, the district will be taking on the cost. It's a $36 enrollment fee, so for $36, and then we'll be furnishing the textbooks and other related curricular materials that will be needed. So this will be at zero cost to our students and their families. Yeah, pretty awesome stuff.
Wonderful.
So this is the nuts and bolts here, the logistics a bit around it. So they will be dual enrolled at high school and Sonoma State. This is for advanced placement courses is what we're talking about. So if you jump to the bottom, let your eyes jump to the bottom, what we're gonna try to launch in the 25-26 school year are 2 courses, AP Environmental Science, which is articulated with the SSU Global Environmental Systems, and AP Chemistry, which is the Sonoma State Chemistry 115A. So students will be enrolled, it'll be on their high school transcript as an AP course. It's a year-long course, so it'll say AP on the high school transcript, but on the Sonoma State transcript, it will have these courses, right? They're dual enrolled, so they'll be getting high school credit and college credit concurrently. Our teachers teach the course. So how this relationship started is I sent the SSU team the CVs and the resumes of our faculty that had appropriate master's degrees and other related training. And we started the conversation of where our faculty met the hiring requirements for Sonoma State, and they felt comfortable that our folks had, the chops to do this. And so the AP course by nature are college level courses, right? So that makes sense to start with AP. So that was the first kind of, let's talk about what AP courses we offer. And then of those AP courses, which are taught by faculty of ours that hold a master's degree, in which Sonoma State then reviewed their resume and said, these are the courses in which we have determined that your faculty are appropriately, ready to go to teach these. And then in conversation for 26-27 is the AP Bio. And remember, these are rotating courses. So we offer AP Environmental one year and AP Bio the other. So Bio is being taught currently, right? So the next time we'll teach it, and we'll have it on our books as an offering, is in the 26-27, and the same for Physics. Physics is currently being taught right now. So the next opportunity for this is in the 26-27 school year. We have also sent resumes and are in discussion about English and art. Dr. Lancaster has a PhD, and we have we have 2 English teachers that have master's degrees that are being evaluated. So those discussions are ongoing. So we're hopeful that something might come of that between, we might be here this time next year adding AP art and AP English. So I'm going to invite Dr. Stacy Bosick up here. A little bit, I can talk a little bit more about logistics, but just to say a few words. Yeah, come on up.
Thank you so much. I'm Stacy Bosick. I'm the Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs at Sonoma State. I've been there about 5 years. I'm from the Bay Area originally. I grew up in Vallejo, California. But I was away for quite some time, and where I got my dual enrollment experience was at University of Colorado, where I was a professor of sociology. We had a very elaborate dual enrollment program with the entire city of Denver, where we were in all of the high schools. And so when I came out here, I was really surprised that we didn't have more of these relationships already in Sonoma County. So I've been working very closely with Ed Mills, our enrollment manager, to sort of remedy that and make these opportunities accessible to students. I think Erin did a great job pointing to many of the benefits for students, but in addition, I really want to emphasize the benefit for alleviating sort of disparities in education, because some students, the AP exam, it's $100 and something, not a big deal. For other students, that is a huge deal. That is a very large bill, and that's cost prohibitive. Some of their families really can't afford that. On top of that, it's a really high stakes exam. Not all students do well on high stakes exams, and so we're hopeful that this opportunity will be better for some of our students and help to ensure that pathway to college. I also want to emphasize, because I don't want anyone to think that we're competitive with SRJC. They are our buddies. So they will also continue to offer their dual enrollment with you as well. We're very close with them. We frequently work with them on transfer agreements and all sorts of things, and they're aware that we're also working on dual enrollment. I think we're all in it together, and frankly, just want to make sure that we've got local opportunities for our students rather than some for-profit institution or Arizona State University sort of comes into California and does these same sort of agreements. We want to make sure that we're keeping it local and trying to retain our students here locally where they can benefit the community when they graduate. And finally, many of our students, of course, do go on to junior college first, do go on to SRJC first, and absolutely that's fine. What we find, though, is that many of them then don't transfer. The statistics aren't great there. We find that we're really good at getting students to the JC. It's free. They see that. But taking that leap and imagining what it would be like to get a 4-year degree isn't in the worldview of all of our students. And so by having this early sort of pathway, by having this on their transcript, we're very hopeful that they'll either come straight to one of the CSUs, hopefully Sonoma State. Many of our students do want to stay local, right? Many of our students are helping to take care of siblings or helping to take care of other family members or need to stick around. We'd love to have them. We're a designated HSI university now, and we're really proud of that. And so, but even if they decide to go to SRJC, we know that by having this on their record, they'll see a clean pathway. Of course, I can transfer because I've already done it. I already have opportunities there. We do, and actually one more final thing, a final thing. We do already have concurrent enrollment opportunities for high school students, so students are welcome to come to Sonoma State and take our classes. We also offer, any members of the public can take our classes through Open University, our extended education programming. What this does, though, is really allow the students to do it in their comfortable space, because we know even with greater access to online education, not all students are going to be successful online. I can speak for my high school student who did not blow anyone's minds with his online course a couple of summers ago that he took at SRJC. And, some folks really need the structure of being in person, and we hope that this is going to be a really positive experience for your students. So thanks so much.
Wow.
I do.
Yeah, and so, college swag is always fun. So we have
Wow.
Dr. Stacy here has some gifts for y'all. Yeah, you'll deliver those up.
Thank you.
So our Seawolf pride here joining we got to write one of those books, Seawolves versus Hound. Who will win, right? Or will they play together? Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So really exciting. Any questions for either of us? I think most of what's up here I've already reviewed, but that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. So any questions or comments for Ms. Bossack or I?
Yeah, Yeah, so I was wondering, right, let's do this. If we introduce this program, we're going to be adding a lot more value to our teachers with masters and doctorates. Does that mean that we should revisit the wage supplementation?
Thankfully, there is currently an agreement. There are stipends when any employee earns a master's or a doctorate. But yeah, I mean, you can suggest that maybe to the teachers too. But there is a stipend.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I was wondering. I was just thinking, should that be increased if, if we have teachers that have masters and doctorates, and if they are able to teach these courses, we want to be able to have a wider range of these courses further on. Maybe it makes more sense so we can attract more teachers with that kind of pedigree of education.
Yeah, would be something you guys could talk about. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to commit you to additional salary, but I will say that we are at Sonoma State actively looking for grants and things as well, not to provide additional salary, but to help out with professional development opportunities. So what we would like to do, many of our faculty on campus really want to know the faculty who are teaching these classes that are sort of their curriculum. There's a great deal of feeling of ownership and pride over the curriculum at a university. And so it's a lot of trust that faculty feel that they're extending to high school teachers to teach a college level course, but they also feel very vested in the success of students. And so they want to take care of the high school faculty member, and they would like to do a lunch or a curriculum meeting, compare notes, talk about lab assignments, things like that. And so we're going to be actively looking for ways to support those sort of activities and help to incorporate some of the high school faculty into some of the faculty activities at Sonoma State.
Cool. Thank you.
Very exciting.
I have a question actually that sort of goes along with that, which is just if the teacher changes at any point, how does that impact?
It does.
Because I know that science and math are difficult positions to fill.
Yes, it
quite
is
often.
by faculty member, so it is not
Okay.
about the class
Right.
as much as it is about the qualifications of the instructor. Yes,
Okay.
that's an important element to this.
Okay. And so that would just be something that we would look at sort of year by year based
Yeah.
on the availability
Exactly,
of
and that's
faculty to
addressed in the MOU that you have
Okay.
in front of you, and
Okay.
and I'm glad you brought that up. So the MOU that I'm asking for approval.
I have a question, if I may.
Sure,
Can you
if
hear
I
me?
could just
Okay.
finish my thought real quick.
Please.
Is that you are not approving course by course, you're approving an agreement, a partnership here.
Right.
So there is some flexibility depending on the qualifications of the faculty members, and that then gives SSU the power to say, yes, this high school teacher meets our hiring qualifications.
Right.
If something were to change between now and let's say when the course launches.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I understood that part about the
Okay.
MOU, and I think this is totally exciting. So I didn't mean to come in with like a downer question.
Oh, no,
I just
it's not taken as a downer question at all.
I just
Yeah.
was looking for
Because
clarification.
normally we bring forward a course,
Right.
And you're approving a course being articulated that isn't quite as dependent on the qualifications of the faculty member. But because we're talking about a 4-year institution here, that it's done a little bit different. Yeah, Mike, do we want to invite you in?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I think it's great. I really appreciate the state colleges jumping on us basically and saying, please come. I do have one question is as the students complete their courses at some point, deciding where they want to go, is there some plan for the college or university to offer them a day at the university to really get a feel? Because sometimes, as you pointed out, they take the course and then they go to the JC, which is not bad, but they take the course and don't really get the feel of what it feels like to be actually on a college campus.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question because for our students, it really does make a big difference to actually come and experience and see themselves physically on campus. This is easier for schools like Rancho Cotati, which is our neighbor. We share a fence with them. The students can walk over. It's a little bit more challenging arranging buses or transportation to Sonoma State from here. Nevertheless, that is something we can work out with Ed Mills, who's our enrollment management guru, and work. We have a whole wonderful welcome center where we welcome students for student tours on an individual basis with their parents, or certainly we can arrange a field trip as part of this experience. We are also actively working on partnerships. I don't want to sort of speak too much because it's out of my lane, but I will. But we have deals with other school districts, and I'm sure that Ed Mills would be happy to work with the district here about automatic enrollment. So we just signed Petaluma Promise. So if students achieve a certain GPA, they have guaranteed enrollment into the university, which clearly alleviates that pressure and that sort of, wondering if you're going to get in or wondering if you should even apply. Is this really for you, right? Having somebody say, no, we have guaranteed admissions because you've been through this process. So these are things that we can continue to build out. This is the first step. I'm so pleased to have this partnership. We've enjoyed our conversations and sort of dreaming about what can be. And I think this is a great piece to bite off now, and we can certainly work on extending this as we go forward.
That's great.
I'll add real quick. AVID does go to Sonoma State. So if a student who is involved in the AVID program, SSU is a standard operating procedure that we bring all AVID students. And y'all may remember prior to the pandemic, one of the things that we were working very hard on is that all students grades 9, 10, and 11 got 2 college visits. We're slowly bringing that back. AVID was our first priority. Also, just the capacity of universities to host these kind of tours and in the numbers that we want to bring. So we're starting to see more universities welcome us with 100 students at once, right? Because how we do this is we bring the entire 9th grade class, let's say, to San Jose State and to St. Mary's. And then we bring the entire 10th grade class to 2 universities, one public, one private. We try, one that's smaller, a different. So by the time they're making applications in the beginning of the senior year, they've seen a nice complement. That is happening again with our AVID students. We're not quite there yet with all of the courses, and a lot of it has to do with the capacity of the universities to host us. So, but we got a foot in the door here. Yeah.
Totally cool. Thank you so much.
I have just 2 basic questions. You talked about with culinary, they have to take an exam to get their certificate. Is it just you're taking the class, you get the grade, it's all intertwined, so you get a B, you get a B.
That's how it's working for the most part. It's possible that when our faculty are speaking with your faculty, they may agree on a sort of final exam that they want to use collaboratively or something like that. But your faculty are the faculty. Gotcha. We have the chair of our department, the chair of our program serves as the instructor of record at Sonoma State that takes the grades from, well, it wouldn't be you because you're a student, but takes the grades from the person who taught the class and enters them. So they're the official sort of instructor of record for the course on the Sonoma State side. They don't get any workload for that. There's no workload associated. There's no special pay associated with anything like that. It's part of their chair duties. And then on your side, the faculty member is the faculty member.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a little note about can take the AP exam, but why would you?
Yeah, I don't know that you, I can tell you because I do have a high schooler who's in AP classes, and I think it depends on where you want to go to school, right? We have a wide spectrum, as you all, I'm preaching to the choir. You all know we have a very wide spectrum of students in Sonoma County. We have students who, cannot envision going to college, and we're trying to get them to see themselves there and understand that it's for them. And then we've got students who are shooting to go to Stanford, they're shooting to go to Yale, right? And some of these really more prestigious schools really look for things like the AP exam. They look for these sorts of, they may be reluctant to think about Sonoma State as being sort of good enough to offer the same credit for their fine classes, right? There's other politics at play, I think, depending on where you, and I say that having gone to higher ed, right? Gone to some of these places, but So I think there's any number of personal reasons. It could be parents' understanding of the value of the AP exam, communicating that, right? Some folks won't care. If you've got enough money, no problem. Yeah, do both, right? But if you're a student who's really watching your pocketbook and your family's watching your pocketbook, and you're planning to stay local or go to a CSU, no, I don't know that you would bother sitting for the exam.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, it's a both and, right? That you could earn both, and that's the beauty of it. I will say, just so it's on the record, and Dr. Bosick would have no way of knowing this, that we ensure that any student who wants to take the AP exam, that finances are not a barrier. So thankfully we have, the way we've been able to work it in our school district is that if a student wants to take the AP exam, we'll make sure that we find a way to get that exam fee paid for. So that's not always the case, but we're lucky around here. Yeah. So we are looking, students will be signing up for courses towards the end of January. And so we want to make sure when they come back in, after the winter break and we start talking about classes and options and all the opportunities, that we can share this great news with the students. So we are looking to get that MOU approved tonight. If there's not any other questions.
Sorry, I
No
have
worries.
one
What's
more
a
question.
question?
All right, go ahead.
No, we're good.
Oh, I thought-
Yep. No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's my last slide.
All right. If there's another interruption in the faculty, like we had with Mr. Kambiak leaving during a school term, how does that affect the dual enrollment process?
So that's a new one we haven't experienced before, right? We haven't experienced that. But when we sign students up for our classes, we make a commitment to them, and we would be making the same commitment to your students. So if students are signed on for, we're going to get them through. So we'll make sure that if you've got a faculty member and maybe our faculty aren't, totally on board, then we will work out some professional development to get them on board. And maybe the following term, we look at whether we're allowing it that next term. But we would see to it that the student gets through.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I know this is the talkiest meeting, but I just want to say, and I'm, old, so this was 30 years ago, but when I was a senior in high school, I was, compared to my peers, a sort of middling student. I was a pretty good student once I got out into the wider world, but where I went to school. And my confidence was not, completely in place. And I really it was formative for me to know that my confidence was not completely in place, even when I was 17. And I went to a literature seminar at UCSD and just audited it. And it was like a total moment of revelation that was the kind of education that I was looking for, that was going to inspire me. And that was absolutely what happened. And I think that the opportunity for students to see that they not only can accomplish college level work, but maybe find it far more interesting and kind of, it sparks curiosity and passion and a readiness to really delve into their intellectual possibilities. And it's like, there's a reason why it's the next step. And I think it really is a critical moment for students to see that not only can they compete with their, with fellow students around the country, which is kind of what you get to see when you take an AP test. If you get a 4 or a 5, then you see, I know what everyone else knows. And that's gratifying and can give me confidence to move on. And then I also went to the JC at night because I had like a work schedule and other family responsibilities and all these things. And all of those venues were incredibly useful in just sort of building towards adulthood in a way that was really self-motivated and self-actualized. And so I just think this opportunity to take college level courses taught in this way and to have your SSU transcript that will save you money in the future and carry you forward is just super exciting. And I love the idea of all these programs because I think it just gives students that sense of sort of like my education is my own and my interests are my own and I'm capable of taking responsibility for and moving forward with them based on my own loves and decisions. And it's super exciting. So thank you. This is awesome. I love it.
Can I make a motion to approve this wonderful program?
I
Second.
apologize. This is a discussion item, labeled
Yeah.
as a discussion item.
But
Oh.
So if we want to take action, we're going to have to meet again and
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it wasn't.
that's-
Didn't you want to approve the MOU?
You know, we're okay. The nature of the conversation tonight gives me hope that it will be approved in the January meeting.
Yes.
Students aren't going to be signing up till the end of January, so based on the flavor in the room here, I think we're okay to let students know this is on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
got 5 yeses.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
We're
Thank
6.
you so much. Now we
All
have
right.
10.1B
Thank you.
California Data Dashboard and 2023-2024 CASP scores. Presented to us by Aaron.
All right. Now the super fun stuff. So the California Data Dashboard was released actually a little early. We generally don't get this data before the winter break. So a couple of reminders. I know, all of you have seen this before at some point. All of this data can be found online. This is a public resource. This is what the state looks for in terms of accountability. So this is how we're held accountable as a school district. Some new things this year is that the science indicator was added. So it's generally been ELA and math, and now science has been added. And a new subgroup of students has also been added. The long-term English language learners is added as a student subgroup. A little reminder about this color coding. Yellow, green, blue, we're looking okay, right? Blue is like, wow, you are knocking this. That's like an A+, okay? So in terms of like thinking about grading, blue is very hard to achieve. There are very, very few school districts that do that in one or more areas. Green is, you're on your way, you're looking really good, you got a solid A there. A yellow is something to pay attention to, right? So yellow is something, there is work to be done. An improvement to be made. It's not a freak out land, but there's definitely maybe you're like a C+, B minus kind of thing if we want to put it into grades. Orange, we need to be paying attention to, and red is emergency, just to give a little bit of context there. So I think it's important to revisit our demographics and the students that we serve. So we serve a little over 1,200 students. Roughly 200 of them are English learners, a small number of foster and homeless. A high percentage, 70% of our students are socioeconomically disadvantaged. And then we're right there in about the state norm for students with disabilities at roughly 185, 15%. In terms of the student population, as Dr. Bosick mentioned, SSU is a Hispanic serving institution. That's what an HSI is. She used the terminology HSI, so Hispanic Serving Institution, and you can see the majority of our students at about 65% are Hispanic, with 31% being white. So I think it's important to put that in context. We're looking pretty good overall. The district is in the green or blue for suspension rate in English language arts, so that's happy. At school by school, English learner progress, suspension rate, English language arts, and math at HES is looking great. We're green across the board there. HGH, in terms of suspension rate, has decreased their suspension rate. So they're in the green there. And then also the high school had a great year on a number of measures, the suspension rate, English language arts, math, and the college and career indicator. So we remain among the highest districts in Sonoma County, and we'll get into a little bit. The red areas, and so this is emergency land. In terms of the high school English language arts and mathematics for long-term English language learners. So for that subgroup, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, we're going to dive into that a bit. No red for HES. The only red for the junior high was the English language arts for students with disabilities. And remember, we're talking about roughly 15% of our overall population, and then no reds for the high school. Most of this data is based on CASP data for the achievement. So when we're talking about ELA and math, we're talking about CASP. This might look confusing, and you've got more detail in your packet where you can kind of pick that apart. So highlights in terms of the overall district is we improved all the red areas from last time, right? So there's been improvement. 25 areas improved. We've got a lot of slides, so I'm going to let you guys read kind of what's there on the left on your own time and focus on the areas of support. Long-term English language learners, if you look at our numbers there, we're making improvements in the number, right? This is something that we've paid a whole lot of attention to for the last decade, is that a long-term English language learner means that they have been enrolled in the U.S. school system for 6 to 7 years. We, in 2022-23, coming right out of the pandemic, we had 75 in the district. We now have 29 currently. So that's a great increase, right? That we've more than halved the number of long-term English language learners is a wonderful thing. So these are our kids that have not RFEP'd yet, right? They have not been reclassified as fluent English proficient, and they're in the junior high and high school age group. And probably isn't surprising, they're not doing well on the CASP, right? So it's good news that we have fewer of them, but we do have students who are stuck, particularly at the high school. The junior high saw some good improvement. Really what put us into the red was that our English learner progress decreased at the high school. We had no RFEP students at the high school last year. None, not one. So it's, yeah, these kids are stuck, and there's a lot of things going on for them. We, as we have for many years, look at student by student. I'll tell you, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty because the population's low. A lot of this is not so much about English language acquisition. These are bigger issues that our kids and our families are dealing with in terms of attendance and other really troubling situations that our families are in. So certainly it's disappointing that they have not RFEP'd, but I would say for the most part, our students who are in this category have a host of challenges in their lives. So we're looking at them holistically, right? There's mental health counseling happening. There's other interventions that are happening. That's not just about English language acquisition. In terms of historical data, I know that Superintendent Vanden Heuvel briefed the board when graduation rate first came out, because when we saw that number, we all freaked out that it decreased. We are very proud of our graduation rate. It's somewhat misleading. Some things to explain, and I think you all know this as trustees, but to the public, as that bullet there on the top right, is that it's somewhat misleading. So newcomers, students who come to us in their 3rd or 4th year of high school, we're obligated to offer them a 5th year. All of our newcomers that arrived in that time frame are with us for a 5th year. But graduation rate is based on a 4-year cohort. So the state doesn't care that they're with us for a 5th year. So we're continuing to work, and many of them will graduate in the next year. But the state cares about the 4-year cohort, not the 5-year cohort. So we take a ding. The other is our certificate of completion students. So students who were not on a trajectory to complete the full host of coursework because of their learning disabilities. So these are our students who have severe learning disabilities and through their IP are going to earn a certificate of completion, but they're seen as non-grads by the state. So in the class of 2023, we had 5 true dropouts out of a class of 134. So if you look at that, the 96.3 is much higher than the state average. And then again, the long-term English language learner progress decreased at the high school, and that's the first time that data has been really for us. It's the first that we haven't had an RFEP at the high school. To put it into perspective, so this is the English learner progress indicator, and the English learner progress indicator has to do with how many students are progressing on that LPAC test, right? The annual LPAC test. So we want to see them progressing. So we're sitting there nice and high at 53%. The only district that beat us in the county was Cloverdale. They had a massive increase. So you can see in 1 year, they had a 23.4% increase. The person who is responsible for that is now at the County Office of Education. He is an amazing human being who did some really good work in terms of their long-term English language learners. So the vast majority of that jump was in their junior high and high school students and getting them to perform on the LPAC where kids had given up. And they had a really dynamic, Jacob Ramirez, wonderful human being who really dug into this in Cloverdale. And so if you look at kind of how we stack up to, we include Calistoga, even though they're in Napa, because they're a similar district in terms of population and funding. So 53%. And then if you go over and you look at the schools there, you can see our elementary school had a 63%, 60% of the students increased. The junior high had a really great year. I think, what did you have, like 18 RFEPs? Is that what we counted? Yeah, 18 RFEPs. And then where we saw the high school there, that decline from 54% the year previous. And then at MBA, we do have a handful of students who are at the Marcy Becerra Academy who are English language learners, but because there's fewer than 11, we don't display the data publicly. Again, these are two data points, the college and career indicator and A to G, that we've paid a lot of attention to as a district, right? These have been two data points that we monitor closely and compare ourselves across the county. So you can see we're doing well. Petaluma High had a great year. Maria Carrillo in terms of college and career, and A to G. I will also point out that their demographics are very, very different than ours in terms of socioeconomic status and percent of multilingual learners. So I'll give you a second to look at that. Roseland Charter, obviously it is a magnet, it's a magnet charter school, so a little bit of a different context than a comprehensive public high school that serves all students in the community. I'm gonna keep going because we got lots of slides. So we're gonna turn into CASP here for a minute. So like I said, a big part of the results in the data dashboard have to do with CASP. So we're seeing a nice upward trajectory. So if we'll take your eyes to that far right into HUSD. So in 2022, just 2 years ago, right after the first big testing session of the pandemic, 43%, and as a district, we've risen to 51%. Slide one over, and let's celebrate high school. 69% of students in 11th grade. That is an important marker, right? 11th grade, that almost 70% of the 11th graders are meeting or exceeding standard is a big deal. That is a very, very high number. And so I just want to celebrate that. Last year, the junior high, we saw, if you keep sliding down, an 8% increase from the year previous. And I'll remind the board that generally what people look for is 3 to 5%. 3 to 5% is outstanding, right? You generally say you get 1 to 3% increase, you're on the right direction. So the junior high had a nice jump, 8%, and then lost 3. Part of this is why, that nice jump is what got them the Distinguished School Award. And so, we never want to see decreases, but we also want to look at data in terms of overall trajectory, right? 3-5 year time frame. So while we're not thrilled about that 3-point drop, I know we're going to see something different happen out of our kids who are at the junior high. In terms of subgroups, it's important to us to make sure that we're looking at all of our students, but also how are our subgroups. Little clear, just to make sure we're all on the same page of ever ELs. So that is an important data point because that's capturing both your English learners and your students who are RFEP. So students that were once English learners, is once they RFEP, they drop out of the EL pool, right? And it would be odd to have somebody who hasn't RFEP'd be meeting or exceeding standard on CASP. So that data point captures all of our students. We're in the red in this one, so you can see that we're outperforming the county and the state, except for our students with disabilities. Did Mike want to say something? I thought I heard. Oh, okay.
No, I did moan, but that's sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
So can I ask a question though?
Yeah, please.
I mean, this may be a non-answerable question at this point, but you mentioned Cloverdale had this great increase because of this wonderful person with wonderful skills. Are we able to capture those skills and transmit those skills of this person, this teacher, this instructor to our staff so that our kids may be.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. So he is now part of the multilingual collaborative at SCO, and we have a wonderful team. For many years, it was me and our AE coach that would go to those meetings. We now have me and at least one representative from each of our schools that attend. And what he attributed their great increase to and shared in that collaborative, and we've been doing to some extent, but he has a form and a process, and what it is, it's about goal setting with students. And we've made it a practice for students to understand where they are in the RFEP process. So what are the criteria to RFEP? Where are you at, right? This is what you need to RFEP. This is what you have. We've done a good job with that. One thing that we learned from Mr. Ramirez is that they do that for the LPAC throughout the year. So they look at their LPAC scores at the beginning of the year when they come in, mid-year doing interim assessments, which we're now doing the interim assessments at the junior high and the high school, and then right before the test, so they're goal setting. So the students are understanding, this is what I need to do on the LPAC test. And that's what he said his special sauce is really coaching the students through some individual goal setting. So when they sit down for that spring LPAC, it's not like, oh, here's this test again that I've seen for 6-7 years, but they're like, nope, I'm going to nail reading on this, or I'm good at writing, so I know it's really about prepping the students individually. So yes, we are trying to do better on that.
So we are able to capture his, I'm going to call it a program.
Absolutely.
And use it and obviously educate our staff in using it and then helping students, obviously. Okay. Yeah. Looking forward to next year.
Yeah, me too. So we like to compare ourselves to others, right? And this has got a lot of information on it. So, with all of this stuff, trustees, right, there's a lot of information coming at you quickly. And so I encourage you to look at this, and any questions that come up, you want to dive into it more, happy to make an appointment or come back and dive into it. But just a few highlights here is that the schools that we are now comparing ourselves against, St. Helena, who's been basic aid for over 20 years and has a slightly different demographic. I just want to point out that only 36% of the students in St. Helena are socioeconomically disadvantaged, whereas 71% of our students are socioeconomically disadvantaged. So there's some differences there. It's a basic aid district, but the war chest has been growing for well over 20 years, and a little bit of it, not a little, a different student population in terms of socioeconomics. Some similarities in terms of percent of English learners. And then Calistoga, a much more similar district, Sonoma Valley here in our own county, and then Windsor. We like to look at Windsor. It's a larger district, but they are a district that we sometimes lose students to. And so, I think it's important for the public to see how do we stack up in terms of our nearest unified school district. All right, let's move to math. So you can see overall here, again, looking at a trajectory coming out of the pandemic, math is a little more up and down than English language arts. And this is true. Anybody who reads any kind of newspaper that has to do with education or blog, this is, we are not alone. We're seeing across the nation math continuing to be a place where students are struggling in large part. Most of the researchers will tell you because of the effects of the pandemic. I don't want to blame, and we are doing good things, but we have work to do. Our community has also suffered much more than many other communities in terms of fire and floods and smoke, and it's been a 7-year tough. And so we're headed in the right direction. Right? FMC saw a great year, 58%. Down 3%. The junior high, again, a huge skyrocket, right, from 17 to 35%, and then a drop. So we're seeing, some of this is where were the kids at when the pandemic hit, right? How old were they? What skills were they learning? And so we're starting to get a little better a handle on that. Overall, the 27 to 39 to 36, generally headed in the right direction, but this is a point of something we're paying a lot of attention to. and putting up resources and efforts into, particularly in the upper grades. How do we stack up there in terms of, comparison to county and state? So you can see that we're in the red. So if you scan across there, we are doing fairly well. Our ELs are 2 percentage points lower than the state. So like I said, work to be done in mathematics. And we compare ourselves to somewhat similar districts. Heads and shoulders above Windsor, catching up to some of our neighbors.
Do we ever have conversations with the other districts about what they're doing?
Yeah, I led a team to St. Helena last year. We brought junior high and high school teachers to St. Helena to investigate their math practices. Similarly, I'm in monthly meetings with the curriculum directors from across the region. So Sonoma Valley is a district I speak with. We have not met with them, partly because we generally are either equal or outperforming. But districts such as St. Helena and in some other sub-pockets, we've made visits. So for example, we visited St. Helena schools, both elementary, junior, and high school, with junior high and high school teachers last year.
Great, that's great.
Yeah. So I think this is the overall trajectory. So what you're seeing is back from 2017. The reason there's a big hole there, I might remind you, so there's nothing there for 2020, right? That's when we shut schools down, no testing happened. And then 2021, no testing happened again for CAS. So we had 2 years of absent data as we weathered the pandemic. So the change percentage you see, I debated whether to do the change from 2017 or just do the annual change. I ended up doing annual change. So that column that you're seeing on the far right is the change from 23 to 24. But you can let your eyes kind of scan and see that for the most part, we are either at or above where we were pre-pandemic days, which is not the case in a lot of other places. All right, so some summary here in terms of CASP. Thankfully, the list over there on the left is longer than the list on the right. The district increased 6% overall. We're the only unified school district in the green in Sonoma County and ELA. So we are the only unified school district in green in ELA in the county. So that's a good thing. FMC increased 6%. As we celebrated earlier, HHS saw a phenomenal increase. So your class there, Trustee Gouffre, you're rocking it. Yeah, that's your 11th graders. We were the only high school in blue in Sonoma County, 3.7% higher than the county, and some really nice subgroup increases. Our Hispanic students at the high school are in green. So again, that 11th grade data point is really important because it's just about as they're to leave us, and that those kids are in the green. Trustee Gouffre's class, that makes me happy given kind of what they've been through over the last 7-8 years as students. Students with disabilities, again, in terms of priorities, I would say students with disabilities are long-term English language learners in math. Those are 3 priorities in my office right now. Ever ELs, we saw a 6% increase in ELA, so that's good. In terms of math, 4% higher than the county. Our Hispanic students increased 15 points, so not percentage points, but that's points from standard, right? It's a scaled score. And then that gave us an overall 7% increase in meeting exceeding as a district. So just to reiterate where our work is the high school long-term English language learners, at the junior high, the students with disabilities. An increase of 34 points, distance away from standard is good, but we're roughly 100 points off standard for students with disabilities. So that is something we continue to work on. Math took a 3% decrease, high school English long-term language learners for math, and all students with a focus on students with disabilities at the junior high and high school. So we saw some nice jumps at the junior high and the high school in math the year previous. So that's partly why it looks a little funky. So I think this year is going to be an important year to see if that upward trajectory happens. If it doesn't, I'm going to be freaking out. But I anticipate we're going to see it. So normally the principals would come up and do these slides real quickly. Our 2 elementary principals are not in the district right now, so I'm going to just go through these really quick. Now you're looking at the school level. As I mentioned before, HES is looking in really good shape, right? Lots of blues and greens. Lots of blues and greens there with our littles. That's what we want to see. Students with disabilities is where you start to see those oranges and yellows. And we see in you're looking in the 2024 column, right? That's what you want to view here, 2024 column.
Looks good.
Yeah. All right, junior high. We're going to just do this quickly. Phenomenal year in 2023, wins Distinguished School Award, and a little blip. And I know with Principal Odetto and the great staff that we're going to see that rise in this next year. I will say the work that we need to do to better support our students with disabilities is an area of focus and something that our new Director of Student Support Services, Kevin Bean, and I are working really hard on. So there's some opportunities there. I know it's something that keeps us up at night and that we're working on. I'm gonna just keep going. The high school here, the work is with our long-term English language learners there, and honestly, it's a lot about motivation. It's not about lack of skill. A lot of it is a lack of will. They're high schoolers. They're done. I'm sick of taking this darn test. So it's a lot about motivation there. Let you guys look at this. Again, this is in your packet. I encourage you to review it. And that note there is that when you're RFEPing that number of students, you're decreasing your long-term English language learners, you end up with this very small pool. And so when that very small pool does not perform, it's tough. Yeah, that's what we got. So we're not saying we're done, right? But it's headed in the right direction. But yeah. Okay. This is really important stuff, but the night is getting on. This is all stuff that you've heard before. I wish the principals were here to present their own. You want to get up? Okay. I'm gonna invite, since our only principal's here, we're gonna skip to her slide real quick and let her talk real quick.
Y'all see this? Hello. Good evening. Nicole Odetto, if you have not met me in person or if I have not met you. Okay, some things that we are working on at the junior high that are going to be a little bit different going forward next year. Our staff has been working in PLTs, so we've been going through some pretty extensive professional learning community training, and all of our departments have kind of taken, our department chairs, I should say, have taken a lead on how we're going to approach testing this year and our school as a whole. So you'll see things up there that all of our teachers use, such as the early warning system. That is a way for students to teachers to dive into data in a really, really quick, with the push of a button, essentially. So they can filter their classes and they can see where students are scoring in math and language arts. They can see some background information on the student all on one screen. It kind of collates all their scores of all of our programs in one screen. So that's been super helpful. We've instilled some new boost classes this year, which are our support classes. So we have a few different support classes going on around with our gen ed students. So we have an academic workshop, and then we have a math support and an ELA support. And then in addition, we have a few special education support classes as well. Our ELD programs are really strong right now. We're really proud of the work that our teachers and our students did last year. Our numbers are really small, and so that's really positive. That small classroom environment, we're finding that even if students are RFEPing throughout the school year, they're not wanting to leave that class and be put in a different elective, which speaks tremendously about our teachers and the community they've built in those classrooms. Again, a lot of it stems from motivation. Like Aaron mentioned, is they're getting to be older and they've taken all of these tests so many times. So how as the junior high staff can we kind of reinvent the wheel and incentivize and motivate? A lot of this has come with goal setting. So our departments individually have decided how they're going to approach state testing this year, and we've kind of come up with a different situation. So first, we looked inward at just scheduling. We have junior high students that are at school from 8:15 to 3:20, and to take a test at 8 a.m. or then again at 2 p.m. is really, really taxing. So we've spent a lot of time looking at our bell schedule when it comes to just our state testing week, if you will. The past couple years that I've been on campus, it's taken us 2 to 3 to 4 weeks to complete all this testing, and that's daunting. So we've really took a long look at our bell schedule. We're working on that, and then each department has kind of taken a role in meeting with their co-departments, so math and science, ELA, and history, and how they're going to expose our students to what is being asked of them way prior to the test itself. A different approach than we have taken since I've been principal of HGH, and I can't speak to before that, but really instead of avoiding it, if you will, preparing and looking at it, and it's coming, and this is what you're going to be asked, and trying to build that confidence and motivation across the campus. We've been spending a lot of time on that. So we've come up with a plan, and we are going to be putting it in motion come the spring after our January PD day, where we solidify what's happening in each department. We continue to implement a program called 5-Star Student, which is our student incentive program. It creates a dynamic where students earn points across the campus, and they can use those points for any reason, such as academic or social emotional reasons. They might earn a point. They can use them for prizes and the prize wheel and the prize jump and all the fun things at the rallies. So that's been really, really great and positive, and it's kind of headed by our leadership students. So they take ownership of that. And then again, we're spending a lot of time looking at our data. So I brought my staff through all these slides that Aaron just showed you, and there's a little bit of a grimace, and there's a little bit of, oh, we have work to do, and everyone is really in support of each other. It's hard when our teachers are single subject, and our ELA and our math teachers take the brunt of it, right? Because that's what's shown to the world. And so our staff is really committed to supporting each other and figuring out how we can better support our students and really just prepare and expose them earlier. So that's where we're at.
Thanks, Ms. Odetto. That's so great. It's good to hear. I do think that the thing that I always keep in mind as I have CASP takers in my house is that it is one vantage point and one snapshot of what students can do. And it is high pressure for them, I think. And there does have to be a combination of motivation and this really strategic kind of preparation for what they're going to see on the test. And so it's so cool to hear that that's a focus. And I mean, in addition to everything else, but I was so stoked to see so much green, generally on this dashboard. And to just hear all the work that goes on to address the issues that show up here is great. Thank you.
All right, so we do have a slide for the high school. Some similarities, some differences. The early warning system that we put together, you might remember John Camera built this for us from the ground up. We've released it to both, was just administrators and counselors last year. And the teachers are like, what's that? What do you have? Right? We're in SST meetings and whatnot. And so we went ahead and said, why not let everybody see it? These are all our kids. And we've gotten a lot of really great feedback from the teachers that now that they can see all that data for their students in one place. And there really is this caretaking, right? That the student may not be in their class this year, but they can now see how are they continuing. That was a little bit of a worry, opening up that kind of a data set, but we have faculty who have embraced it. We've talked about academic workshop, supporting our long-term English language learners and our newcomers. I will say we're prepping to do a newcomer presentation for y'all in January. So we're going to dive in and talk specifically about the supports and services that we're providing across the district for our newcomer population. So that'll be in January. We'll get you more details. continue to provide free after school and to some extent before school for math tutoring. We do have a faculty member who's willing to come in early, and we get kids showing up, and addressing the DNF rate. So as Trustee McAllister said, overall, things are good on the dashboard, right? As educators, we tend to like focus on the handful of things that we're struggling with. And that, as I said, is mathematics, long-term English language learners at the high school, and our students with disabilities. We have seen great growth in the last 3 to 5 years coming out of the pandemic from in our district. We remain among the highest in college and career graduation rate. So there's a lot to be celebrated, but we also want to continue to focus on our areas of improvement. So like I said, I'm always open. There's a lot of data coming at you real quick. You're going to see this in bits and pieces and other things throughout the spring as we do, our LCAP and other strategic planning. So. Yeah.
Thank you,
Any
Erin.
questions or comments? Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to reports. Do we have a HADA report? No. Do we have a CSEA report? Seeing none. Student trustee report. Do we have one? Okay.
Kind of running a little long, but I just wanted to bring up, a lot of students have come up to me and asked if we can have some more variation in the selection in our vending machines. I know this isn't very, the biggest thing on our minds, but a lot of students are asking for it. 2 years ago, I remember this from 2 years ago, but when we went to Annalee, I'm on the soccer team, right? Mm-hmm. Or I was. And we went to Annalee High School, and they had a Guayaki yerba mate vending machine. And I know that a large percentage of our school student population enjoy those drinks. Mm-hmm. And it'd be kind of interesting to see if we could get one of those vending machines on campus. They are relatively healthy in comparison, especially, we have like Gatorade, in our vending machines, and I think that yerba mate is probably better for us than Gatorade, so I don't know. That might be a...
All right, well, thank you. Do we have a Board of Trustee report?
I just wanted to say that I went to see the world famous Greyhound Band play at Frost Hall last night, and I have to admit that quietly in the dark, I shed a tear thinking about what the Healdsburg voters gave us in terms of the bond money and the beautiful space that we've been able to create out of a space that was not, so much in use before. And I just have a lot of pride in my little part of making that happen, and in what the board was able to do and what the district was able to do, and all of the work that went into the construction and all the work that's honestly going into just refining the space and making sure that it's available for all of the purposes that it's going to be used for. But I know that for Mr. Natelli and the band to finally have a home game and to be able to perform in a space on campus was really, really awesome. And the band just played beautifully. There was tons of families there. It was just like an awesome, awesome night. And I'm just so pleased that all that came together, and really excited about the naming that's going to happen in January. It's a great place. And my husband, actually, who doesn't generally comment on things like this, was like, the acoustics in that room were really great. So, hey, so I was like, we took an old gym and turned it into this beautiful multi-purpose space that addresses needs. And I just think that's wonderful. And I think it's going to be an amazing community resource for all kinds of events. And my hope is that the community will be able to take advantage of the cool kind of curtain divider that will turn the theater space, or just the telescoping seat space into a smaller area for screenings and lectures and whatever else. It's wonderful. So thanks everyone here who helped out with it.
I just wanted to say that, first of all, I'm so happy that we have a performing arts thing. I remember going off the board and then coming to a work study session and reminding the board that That was part of the bond, was to do that. So
Yes.
it's very exciting. And that 3 of us went to the CSBA conference, and it was fabulous. Every session was terrific and useful, and I'm very excited about where we're going to go.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo that and to say thank you for, the funding to send us down there and do that. It was, for me, a really wonderful way to kind of re-immerse in things and to see the topics that are kind of trending in school districts, which, thank God, a lot of them don't apply to us, like school consolidation and school closures and things that, thank goodness. Thank goodness. It was great. It was really good, and really, I agree. I think it's unusual that all the sessions you go to are really useful and meaningful, and that was definitely the case. So,
Thank you. All right, so we do have the option for a break, but if the trustees would like to just push through it. Oh, okay. All right, nope. All right. So we're gonna take a break for 5 minutes, come back at 8:36. All right. Reconvening from our break.
No, got a bunch of goodies.
I believe in you. We all believe in you. All right. 10.2A, school business. Positive certification of ability to meet financial obligations at first interim.
Good evening.
Hi.
I am presenting to you the first interim report tonight. I am going to start with the budget cycle and remind you where we're at in the budget cycle. I presented in September the unaudited actuals, and I've been going through the audit for the past 6 weeks. All of that has been finalized, and I'll be bringing the audit to you in January. And now I've done the revision to the budget, and I'm here with the first interim report. A reminder of what the first interim report is. It's a glimpse in time. Okay, so it's going from July 1st to October 31st. And it is updating all of the revenues and expenditures from what I know at this given moment, which is always a challenge. What's new with the first interim? The budgets have been updated. Carryovers have been posted. Increase in revenues for property taxes and RDA projections, state and local revenues, and then increase in expenditures, salaries, benefits, books and supplies, and special ed contribution. And now I'll go into a little more detail about that. So here's a glimpse of the general fund, unrestricted side only. The first column is showing you where I was at budget adoption. And then the middle column is the first interim, where we're at now. And the far column on the right is showing you the difference. So as you can see, the funding beginning balance increased, because when we closed the books of 23-24 and we summed everything up, we had more money at the bottom line. The total revenues, I'm projecting an increase a little bit more of $300,000. That's mostly has to do with grants that we've applied for and that we're going to be receiving. Salaries and benefits is a big hit because we implemented the 9.5% increase that now shows up here, and it wasn't there at the original budget adoption. Other expenditures, I've cut budgets pretty fine. I'm not leaving a lot there, in my opinion, to fluctuate, but I have cut them $475,000. We had a $50,000 transfer out that was there, kind of a placeholder for the cafeteria for food services. In the past, we've needed that since we've been doing free meals to all students and the reimbursement rate's been higher and we're serving more meals. We have a good fund balance in Fund 13, so I've removed that at the first interim. The total contributions has bumped up to 4.7. That's a $400,000 increase. That is special ed contribution. So you can see the net change. So I'm predicting right now I went from 14.73 reserve to 13.77. The pressure on the general fund comes from a combination of different things happening at one time right now. First being the impact of compensation increases as $1.9 million. The high STRS and high and rising PERS cost, they continue to rise. And right now, every dollar in staffing for STRS costs the district $1.22, and every dollar for PERS costs the district $1.37. And as salaries increase, all of those expenses go up as well. We have the expiration of relief funds, which is COVID dollars, grants, all of the money that are one-time dollars that have all come to an end September 30th, and some have a few more months, but basically they're all expended. The required contribution to special ed is at $3.6 million, which is an increase, but a reminder that that is based on what I know now and what I have to put there in case we have more students that have more needs. So I have to keep that contribution to where I feel like it's enough to get us through the year if we were to get more students. And then there's the rising overhead cost. Utilities, supplies, repairs, everything has increased tremendously. Our utilities are very high. In fact, we're meeting with the city in the next couple of weeks to review some of it. Our water's tripled. So that's just a small glimpse of what our overhead costs, where they're headed. And then the final thing is our cash flow and deferrals. We've received a lot of grants, and it's great, and we have this money coming, but we don't receive the money before we start spending it. And now we've gone from COVID relief dollars where we were getting money up front to now everything is coming, and we're spending now. So that's something I'll be watching for the remainder of the year, and I'm actually concerned about it. It's countywide. But I think the cash flow is going to be something that we have to really be paying attention to for the rest of the year.
So are you worried we won't get the money in this fiscal year?
Oh, we won't. We won't. In some areas we will. Some of the grants you don't get the money until you show where you've expended it, and they have to approve it. So if it's a grant that we're not going to spend in 1 year, we're not going to get the money, right? All of the federal monies or deferrals, everything's coming later, and it's going to continue, and it's going to get worse in 25, 26 from what we're being told now. Yeah. So a lot of these things are what's so complicated about making the budget when people think, well, you said we were going to have this, and how did it fluctuate so big? Because I have to put all those numbers in the budget, and I have to show that revenue as we're going to receive it, because I can't be spending it otherwise. So budget and actual dollars is two different things, and it's not easy to understand for everybody.
Are these proposed changes, do they have the potential federal legislature change in mind, like in the very near future?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be in a positive way.
Right.
In January, we get the governor's budget, and we all kind of hang on and wait to see what happens then. We're not expecting great news at this point. This slide shows the multi-year projections. I mean, as you could see, if you look at the total revenues, I mean, our revenues are higher than our expenditures, but we are still deficit spending. And a lot of that has to do with the contribution to SPED. So our contributions keep going up, and that's what's making us deficit spend for the end of the year. On top of everything else, right? Before, I mean, we had a bigger gap between our revenues and our expenditures, and it's getting smaller and smaller. And as you can see in the services and other operating expenses, we're at 2.5 million right now, and that's being conservative. And that's our overhead cost, and a lot of expenses that we can't control. Oops. This is just a different look at it. So the net for the year is a negative 3.5 million, leaves us with an ending balance of 883,000. That's unrestricted only. And that leaves us at 13.77, which is still above the board mandate. But it's important to look at the bottom there. See that little box that says first interim 23-24? So at first interim time last year, we projected the net for the year to be a negative 647, and it actually finished at a negative 65,000. So that's how big the fluctuating can be. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these numbers and you're like, wow, there's room there.
But that's a much bigger net
Yes.
for the year
Yes.
than 647,000.
Yes, it is. And as you can see in 25-26 with the numbers I have right now, we're an 8.2 reserve, and third year out, we're at 4.9. It's 13.33. Yeah. Which, for a basic aid district in today's time, that's a pretty low reserve.
Yeah.
Thought I heard something. Oh, I forgot Mike's there. Sorry.
No, I'm here. It's okay. I'm hiding.
I knew it was a man's voice, and I was looking at you, and I was like, what? I'm sorry. Okay, so in summary, revenues are conservative, expenses are conservative. We will close the year higher than with a higher ending balance. I don't think it will be like it's been the past couple of years. Ending balance for unrestricted is 883,000. Restricted is 3 million, leaving the reserves at 3.77, which is a positive certification at first interim. And then this is just showing you what's next. The audit report will be coming in January. The governor's budget we wait for in January. We'll be doing staffing projections for 25-26. Second interim report will be in March. And continue to spend wisely and use one-time funds when possible. Uncertainties, the big one is property taxes, where they're going to come in at, and cash flow. That's all I got.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
Any questions?
I would just say thank you, Debbie, again. I don't know if it's good or bad that you're very clear on where we are, but I feel strong at this point, and I guess we'll wait until the first of the year, January, February, and see where we're going. So thank you again.
You're welcome. This is an action.
Is that a motion to approve do a positive certification of the first interim?
I second.
President Lopez Jimenez.
Aye.
Trustee Del Rey. Trustee McAllister. Student Trustee Johansson Hufrey.
Aye.
Trustee Velasquez.
Aye.
Vice President Potmasil.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. 10.2B, Resolution 25-15, certifying election results.
So this resolution is to accept the election vote, which was November 5th bond election, 49.5 million for Measure R. And it did pass at 65%. The required percentage was 55. And this resolution is to accept it.
So moved.
And I'll
Second.
give it to Mike.
President Lopez Jimenez.
Aye.
Trustee Del Rey. Trustee McAllister. Student Trustee Johansson Hufrey.
Aye.
Trustee Velasquez.
Aye.
Vice President Potmasil.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, voters of Healdsburg,
You bet.
for the bond money. We plan to do great things with it.
10.2C, accounting of developer fees.
This is a requirement to bring to the board annually the reconciliation of the developer fees for 23-24. And every 5 years, we're supposed to bring a 5-year report as well. I've been doing the annual and the 5-year together just every year, just to be very clear on where we're at with developer fees, so there's no questions there. I did want to mention that this year, or last year, we did do the developer fee study. And so everything is up to date as far as developer fees, and we did increase to the state wages, which is $517 per square foot. And that's been a shock to a lot of the community members in Healdsburg, but we were doing a very low rate for a very long time. And with all of the growth happening in Healdsburg, all of the building, it's very well documented that that's what it should be. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
So this is for new development.
Yes. So when you see the Exhibit A that I gave you with the resolution, it shows that we collected $500,000 in developer fees last year. We've just spent a little bit doing the developer fee study, and we haven't spent any of the developer fees since we spent $1 million on the gym at the high school. But we do have, we have identified the HES project when we start that this summer, as we will be contributing $1 million from developer fees to that project.
Okay.
So I just wanted to be very transparent about that and make sure everybody's on board with that.
Thank you.
So if there's no questions, do we have approval of resolution?
I'll approve.
Second.
Okay.
President Lopez Jimenez.
Aye.
Trustee Del Rey. Trustee McAllister. Student Trustee Johansson Hufrey.
Aye.
Trustee Velasquez.
Aye.
Vice President Potmasil.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, Board of Trustee reports / comments / requests for information tonight. Seeing none. And, all right. Or actually, I don't know, Mike, do you have your invisible hand up?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, that is the conclusion of our board meeting. Next regular board meeting will be on Wednesday, January 15th, 2025, here at City Hall. Deadlines to submit agenda items will be January 6th, 2025. For agenda request forms are due, and then on Wednesday, January 8th, is all backup materials due. And so, meeting adjourned at 8:52.
Thank you.
Thank you.